Hello friends, a very warm welcome and let's start this series also. Please take into account जो previous series हैं, they are actually adding a value as you are moving further. So this is a very important repository, a kind of a collection, a kind of a very healthy interactive setup जहां से आप सीख सकते हैं. 5 क्वेश्चन का सेट है. खुद लिखिए, समझिए और ट्रेनिंग के लिए you can get in touch, you can learn, you can get success. The role of CGI is significant in furthering healthy competition aimed at inspiring stakeholders to innovate and augment effectiveness.
तो
अब ये अपने आप में
कॉम्पिटिशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया है
हाँ
CCI।
हेल्दी कंपटीशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग कि स्टेटमेंट अपने आप में कंप्लीट नहीं माना जाता अगर हम कंपटीशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को हटा के अगर आप इसको जेनरिक स्टेटमेंट बना देते हो. So let's see. Reformist Vivek there highlighted the need for fair regulation and minimum government so that market becomes more just in distributing of resources. Very good. I think a very wonderful point and a very correct point. It subscribed to the idea of Article 39B and C of DPSP and Article 19, freedom in profession. CCI under 2002 Act lays down certain features which promotes healthy competition. I think on track answer, a very beautiful connectivity, ensuring that monopolistic tendencies in market does not arise. For example, CCI direction to Google, Apple. इनफैक्ट आपका जियो और हॉटस्टार के जैसे है या फिर बाकी मर्जर्स के ऊपर भी और इवन द एंटी फेयर और
एंटी
practices
प्रॉफिट
done by even Swiggy and Zomato, they are also under scanner. So ensuring free and fair marketplace by creating equal playing field, that's correct. CCI penalizing Amazon and Google. Make sure that international code of practices under IPR, that is TRIPS, good manufacturing practices follows. Makes the public aware regarding consumer rights and device under CCPA article बोल रहा हूँ, that's year 2019 and 1986. Report on market trends and adopting of new emerging field for competition, that is cyber fast commerce, that is e-commerce. However, CCI 2 requires argumentative augmentalization, not argumentative, regarding to the working of rationalization of archaic laws. Very good point. Regarding deregulation of sectors, discrimination of petty decriminalization of petty offenses, transparency in data fiduciary, very good point, and collection of informal decision and adherence to DPSP Act 2023, training of professionals regarding pro bono cases, very good language, IPR laws, etc., emerging field, consumer awareness on lawsuits and legal jurisprudence, inter-institutional coordination, CCPA and CCI, FSCI, more need to enforce penalizing provision on big tech, the CCI becoming a statutory institution having strong legal backing, but it needs to work on enforcement power, dissemination information, and preventive mechanism. I think a very articulately and a very clearly written answer. सारे आइडियाज इसमें रिफ्लेक्ट होते हैं और लैंग्वेज इससे ऊपर नहीं जानी चाहिए. आई थिंक वोकैबुलरी इज सुटेबल एंड ऑल आइडियाज आर विजिबल. द menace of paid news often rears its ugly head during election. Discuss the need for making paid news an electoral offense in India. कि उसको बनाया जाना चाहिए कि नहीं बनाया जाना चाहिए. तो electoral offense is a big thing. Electoral offense के context में है. Big bold page advertisement of certain state government success in tenure appeared to be normal editorial, but it was paid news, as disclaimed, or I should say disclosed. Its impact is huge during elections. We agree all that, and it's a good start. Very good point. Menace of paid news, thought control of voters, direct affecting health of democracy, excess advertisement leading to government expense, eroding credibility of newspaper and editorial bias, fourth pillar of democracy weakens under politics. I think all points are suitable in a flow of thought. They are very good written. Given the impact, it is needed that paid news be an electoral offense, as paid news depends on the visibility and money raped or roped by the party politics. They are reflected by the party politics. Bigger is the party, bigger is the advertisement. It shows not a level playing field. That's what we can say. Chances of voter manipulation via personalized bombardment of campaigns, social media ads. This is also true. Fourth pillar democracy need to be non-partisan and unbiased. Then only they can keep vision on election practices. Access advertisements erodes the fund allocated for the scheme. So percentage allocation for the advertisement must be capped. At the same time, paid news on social media newspaper is also beneficial. It makes government accountable on targets, aware citizens on the scheme. Paid news is more than 40% of revenue of newspaper and media for survival. So given their duality of impact, paid news can be regulated under RP Act 1951 and IT Act 2000, where protocols as highlighted by ADR can be added. Cooling period on social media, MCC inclusion for paid news, personalized news needs to be stopped, and uh, what we can say, it should adhere to media ethics guidelines. I think wonderfully written. ब्रॉड में सारे पॉइंट्स हैं, एक थॉट प्रोसेस है, एक फ्लो है. सो आई थिंक ऑन ट्रैक. Doctrine of essentiality referred to by the courts in the context of religious practices in India. This is very important and a very, very pertinent question. Doctrine of essentiality uses a reasonable restriction doctrine to establish certain limitation of fundamental rights. Yeah, that's how essentiality comes into picture. So doctrine of essentiality is based on the ruling that certain key provisions are core to a core part of a religion. For example, 5 Ks for 6, जिसमें हम कड़ा, कृपाण, केश, कच्छा ऐसे करके हम 5 sacred elements को लेके आते हैं. Essential religious practices need to be finalized by interpretation of legal codes, civil codes, scriptures. Sabrimala judgment of 2018, where Supreme Court allowed that women cannot be discriminated against for worship to Lord Ayappa. It is still going on. It has not been finalized, as far as I believe. Peripheral elements of religion can be, can be uncodified based on the basis of scientific codified. I should say it should be codified on the basis of scientific temperament and constitutional morality. For example, Peta case against Bali Pratha in Pashupatinath temple. Fair example. However, still doctrine of constitutional morality works. For example, if the right to freedom of religion under Article 2028 violates public health, morality, law and order, as well as Article 11 and 21, then it will be interpreted based on modern constitutional values. For example, Supreme Court had given 2019 triple talaq judgment stating that triple talaq is neither essential religious practice nor it is addressing article or nor it is adhering to Article 14 or 21. Our doctrine of essentiality in religion is questioned by several fronts and critiques by who will codify ERP, what is the right of interpretation, whose ERP will be used. In judiciary specialized for religious domain, is judiciary specialized. So, but over the year, doctrine of harmonious construction between Article 19 and 21 is followed until there is until, or if we can say, if there is any anomaly in the practice. So I think very beautifully it is also reflected, very broad, good illustrations and examples. So no, it's a fair exercise. As per the recently released report of EAC to the Prime Minister, there is an urgent need to limit the size of the government of India. Do you agree? So already we know that in Lok Sabha, also at the state legislature, there is the percentage defined. So Professor Sanjeev Sanyal have called for minimum government and maximum governance to be the successful model when legal jurisprudence is rationalized. According to the 21st century, he criticized the size of the government is huge, over-regulation in some areas, for example, agriculture and defense, welfareism based causing overspending in full or in food or fuel subsidy, petrol protection policies in trade affecting competition, center and state government employees more than local bodies. This causes disempowerment of local bodies, PRI, as compared to China and USA. So very good representation is also here. So that is what EAC, that's what we have studied and we have must have discussed reading our newspaper classes also, that it is very important to move forward. So limit the size of the government or reforming it, that is rationalization and deregulation of sector under FDI, promoting speed of doing business, ease of doing business. We are already doing it, SEZ and Greenfield. Creating PPP model in infrastructure like NIP, Gati Shakti, SPV model in smart city project, informing bureaucracy to reduce hurdle in governance jam. And then our limited size of the government is not ultimate solution of inclusive growth. Indian state is a welfare state due to diversity and disparity in regions. Affirmative action in several areas, targeted schemes like Pradhan Mantri Jan Kalyan Arogya Yojana, and need for huge manpower for setting industrial base and law and order. But there should be effect or limiting the government where it is required. For example, disinvestment in area we already done, but some areas the important role of BSNL to keep check on duopoly of Airtel and Jio as India state is accountable to certain based on constitution. Very well written, but then in this question we could have brought the idea of how minimum government is also linked with the fact of how fast efficiency is there, how the channel is working, number of days we are taking for a once decision is taken. Basically, corruption, red tapeism, inefficiency, the silos of bureaucratic attitude. That is the problem. The problem may not be exactly with the numbers, because Indian government is already not running with a very huge inefficiency as far as when we have the model like Karam Yogi model we are already having. So we are already moving forward to it, and it is the people's democratic desire. That is how the people and the government will move forward, and we will be Viksit Bharat by 2047. Institute of Eminence scheme was conceived to develop world-class center of higher education, but 6 years later, yet to become a game changer. Very good question and very pertinent discussion. Higher Education India got a major boost scheme, 10 public, 10 private institution. Okay, it was having features like, when we look forward to the features, we can move forward and have a look. So, institution of eminent tag में जब हम बात कर रहे हैं तो substantive infrastructure and corpus allocation was there. MOU with foreign universities and student exchange program, professors, academics, university autonomy in the course and fee decision, very true, endowment and donor based institution, major support in R&D with private lab. So these all areas are very true कि R&D होगा, exchange होगा, society में contribution होगा, even commercialization of technologies भी होगा. Yet to become a game changer, India higher education is dominated by quality public institution funded by government, AIMS and IITs and IIMs. And there has to be yet a more vibrant private sector contribution. This is true. Now this is changing up also because the startup culture, and there are, for example, at the base level, Atal tinkering labs and all that is providing a kind of a base, and there are Kishore Vigyan Pradyogiki Yojana and other areas. Endowment system needs private institution enthusiasm like Ashoka University. Courses and fee structure need regulation due to sensitivities of rather not sensitivities due to affordability. People, those who are, everybody, every section can contribute towards nation's growth if they are economically viable. Branding of universities based on student intake, alumni, and R&D. This needs time and effort. Very true. And student prefer migration for USA, Canada based system on ecosystem of the university. Integration of several institutions, because multiplicity of regulatory institutions also provide a kind of a bottleneck. What must be done? Creating second tier university, first tier linkage, hub and spoke model, R&D funding more than 2% like NRF Act 2023, collaboration with the market oriented skills and university, PM apprentice scheme, private labs need to be included like Atal Tinkering Lab, already it is decided. But more than that, what we can say, that there were, world class institutions and world class universities, what they were speaking about. That is what we have to see, that how it can become viable. Government is providing only one pillar support, others also have to do their own role. So coming to CCI, the role of Competition Commission of India is significant, furthering healthy competition and inspiring stakeholders. Let's see the another part. The recent cognizance of predatory marketing is a very good line. Prices by the Q commerce players like Zepto and Blinkit have come under scrutiny of CCI. Fair and transparent. Okay, fine. Market watchdog. Upholding consumer rights and interests. Very true. But वही 1986, 2020 लिख सकते हैं. GST anti-profiting practices is a good point. Role of e-commerce players, big tech, Amazon, Flipkart, rising consumer footprint, cloud till selling, curbed, only 25% of products can be sold on the single platform. Ethical advertising practice is a very good point. Surrogate ads, dark patterns, compel consumer to buy goods on good service, holiday ads with heavy discounts, discriminatory in a very micro fronts. Interest in regional players safeguard to increase their participation, being vocal for local is a different point which was not there. Fairness on the merger of players like Hotstar and Reliance, already we discussed. Areas of reform, capacity development, recruitment, training, infrastructure creation, decentralize its presence and evolving, adapting, changing dynamics. So it's a very, very lucid and very good flow. But then one or two points, technical points, I would say, must be taken up from the first paper and then they can be added over here. So if we read the end, in the conclusion part, which is very important, presence would be needed in education manner in fast-growing Indian economy, increase multilateral growth, ensuring fair and so very true that like over there, like we had written that it should act as a facilitator, it should facilitator, preventer, uh, as a kind of enabler. All these words, more three or four vocabulary, heavy vocabulary words will do the needful. Paid news during elections only. So we had read one of the most articulate ways, but then let's see here. Highlighted by Supreme Court, role of media should be neutral in political discourse, indicates challenge. ठीक है, लेकिन वहां पे जैसे हमने फोर्थ पिलर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी की बात की थी, और हमने बात की कि कैसे वो स्ट्रक्चर था, डीप लेयर्ड इम्पैक्ट ऑन वोटर्स चॉइस बिकॉज ऑफ इजी स्वे. वेरी ट्रू. यूज ऑफ ब्लैक मनी इन फंडिंग एंड ट्रांजेक्टरी channel with media. This is also true. It's alleged that आज तक न्यूज चैनल इज प्रो, हाँ बोला जाता है, ठीक है. मास फॉलोइंग ऑन सोशल मीडिया, लैक ऑफ वोटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ड्यू टू लिटरेसी इन पॉवर्टी. पर इसके कारण जो हमने पिछले आंसर में जैसे बात किए थे, जो उन्होंने बोला कि भाई कैसे वो जो पेड न्यूज को फोकस में रख के वो जो बोला, ये जो एलिमेंट्स हैं, दीज एलिमेंट्स आर एक्चुअली व्हाट वी कैन से द रियल एलिमेंट, दीज आर रियल थिंग्स, but then they need also a kind of a big word is required. So false belief generated, spread of rumors, visible true, can compromise security like communal right. Delhi, this is a good point. So pending electoral reforms become more crucial, like social media regulation, law enforceability, and model code of conduct, declaring paid news a crime under MCC. So like over there, it was more structured when we were bringing the Representation of People Act, how it can be regulated rather than being completely a cooling period. So it was more structured. That's what we have to appreciate. But how to ensure protection of fundamental rights and article? This is a good point. Uphold right to dissent. Parameters to identify fake news. So these are a good point. The conclusion part is far more innovative and proactive. And upper part also, the body of the answer is also clear, but then it is not very crystal clear. That's what we can say. Doctrine of essentiality, critical component, okay, very true. Religion, but like over there, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का उन्होंने जैसे हवाला दिया था, आप भी दे सकते हैं सेकुलर, ठीक है। बात आपने बताया कंपोनेंट्स क्या है, दिस इज अ गुड पॉइंट, वेरी गुड। रिलीजियस स्ट्रक्चर, religion and faith, genuineness, very true. Doctrine came under limelight, Sabrimala case, very good. Violation of right, equality of women under 1417, does it constitute essential religious practice? Are Lord Appas devotees? So you have taken one example, it is good, but then we have to see, are all elements are being covered? Doctrine of essentiality, aided and answers to about dilemmas in most fair and unbiased, it was upheld to that banning entry of maturity. तो आपने एक ही एग्जांपल को लेके किया, that is also fair, again I am saying, but the all elements must be coming up, but the challenge in ensuring effective implementation doctrine is that it is not universally applicable to all religions. तो वही बात है, जैसे वहां लिखा था कि कौन करेगा, कैसे, क्या जुडिशरी कंपिटेंट है, वो आप दो दो लाइन में बोल सकते हैं, but this is also fair enough. But then the example of Lord Ayappa's case must bring all, even future जो एलिमेंट लॉर्ड एप्पो वाले एग्जांपल में भी नहीं आ रहे हैं, that also must be coming up. but इतना ही है इसमें, अच्छे से लेकिन कोशिश किया। It would demand, अलग पैराग्राफ हो सकता है, demand the interpretation again from the scratch, like in case of whether hijab is essential practice, like वहां पे उन्होंने ट्रिपल तलाक का लेके किया कि it was not essential and it was not also violating fundamental rights. So good, it's a good try, very good effort, fair भी है, काफी हद तक आ भी गया, लिविंग डॉक्यूमेंट वाली बात भी जैसे लेके आए, काफी आ गया। लेकिन वही है कि क्या उतने कम शब्दों में हम क्या एक दो एलिमेंट और कोई बता सकते हैं, एक स्ट्रक्चर जो निकल आए, वही दैट इज द होल पॉइंट वी हैव टू सी। EAC, let's see. गवर्नमेंट एग्जीक्यूटिव इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर पिलर डेमोक्रेसी इन इंडिया, ऑल्सो इंजन टू रन, ठीक है। नीति आयोग की बात आपने की, लिमिट द साइज वुड हैव बोथ फेयर, ओके, आपने बहुत अच्छा किया। FRBM लेके आ गए, 2000 से इलेक्शन एक्सपेंडिचर वुड मल्टीप्लाई, इंक्रीजिंग साइज वुड चैलेंज मीटिंग द एस्पिरेशंस ऑफ पीपल, बिल्कुल सही बात है। क्वालिटी ओवर क्वांटिटी, गुड गवर्नेंस, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी, आई थिंक फेयर स्ट्रक्चर, इनोवेटिव अप्रोच, rising population and constituency under delimitation exercise requires more elected representatives, faceless and IT filing system, reduce revenue expenditure, charge expenditure. I think fair enough. This is a fair and innovative answer, so must be appreciated. एक पॉइंट जो ग्लोबल वाला है, अगर हम उसको देखें, जो लास्ट पॉइंट आई वाज सेइंग, कैन वी गो बैक टू द लास्ट पॉइंट प्लीज? Yes, possible repercussions on India's good trajectory and global cloud. Therefore, additional size of government also does not promise a guarantee to meet good governance. A more cautious approach is needed. तो हाँ, आप जैसा मैंने बोला वो हम कर सकते हैं, उसको आप देख सकते थे थोड़ा सा, but I think fair enough. This is a good side. So institution of eminence scheme name, empower 10 higher, okay fine, significant step to fulfill SDG 4, ठीक बात है। Face challenges, delays in fund allocation, direct आपने अटैक किया, IISc reported a delay, hampered international collaboration, autonomy, managing. So I think fair, this is a fair answer, a fair and more logical and also more fluid approach. Non-acceptance or selection of IUE, big corporates, merely 4 to 5, 4 to 5%, 4.5% of GDP allocated for industry and education is not in tandem. Are you sure that we are allocating 4.5, 4 to 4.5 or 4 to 5% of GDP? That is very high. In fact, we are not even doing this much, I believe so.
So for education, it is this much.
अभी आज की डेट में है इतना,
हाँ जी सर।
तो कितना होना चाहिए?
So for education, I think compared to the economic size of India, I can't say exact figure कितना होना चाहिए,
तो वो देखना है हमें।
हाँ।
Therefore, multidimensional approach beyond financial allocation will make India. तो I think fair, good structure, good points, वहां पर भी अच्छा डिस्कशन था, और उन्होंने उसमें रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज वाला जो एलिमेंट लेके आए, वो दो तीन बॉडीज हम पॉइंट ले सकते थे। नाउ लेट्स सी CCI, ठीक है, स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी 2002, लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड हमने ही बताया, but the key word here is monitor merger and acquisitions and business deals arrangements for checking unfair competition, ठीक है, हमने बोला। रोल जो दूसरा पॉइंट है, प्रिवेंट कार्टेलाइजेशन, ये वर्ड हमने नहीं लिया। थर्ड पॉइंट इज देयर, अवेयरनेस एंड इन्फॉर्मेशन इज आल्सो देयर, रजिस्ट्रेशन एंड रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ ऑल बिजनेस एंड एंटरप्राइज एंगेजमेंट्स, वेरी सिंपल पॉइंट बट वी हैव मिस्ड दैट। To make robust steps, the streamlining of registration and approvals, again a very simple, very simple, but a very important point, reducing mandatory time for approval. Charge changes in the penalty structure, we are not talking about it directly. हमने इतना बोला कि वो कर रहा है, extracting penalty based on deal amount instead of overall revenue. This is a very known point जिसको हम कहें. Registration exchange information mandatory for to track records. Role in GST monitoring. This point was there, but not in this way. Rationalizing of tax rates. Issues with CCI. Lack of constitutional backing is a very good point, making it a toothless and less effective. Political interference in selection, transfer, job profile is a very good point. Lack of collaboration. It is wrong. It is already collaborating, but maybe it requires more trained professional also. That would say the way forward. Technical expertise, more representatives, periodic review, international collaboration. So all those points have been repeated here also. But I think fair enough. We were also trying to move in this direction. Our answer is more fluid. This answer is more objective and more points. So coming back to paid news. So इन्होंने case दे दिया. अभी राम सिंह versus Union of India. Election as the biggest secular democratic exercise cannot be jeopardized by any sectional interest, especially fueled by paid. So this is a more appropriate and direct hitting. Scope of manipulation of electoral behavior point हमने डाला था फर्स्ट आंसर में था, फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ आंसर में. Against free and fair election of is not part of basic structure. That is Kilohoto Holohan versus Union of India is a बहुत पुराना केस है ये. इट कैन इंस्टिगेट वायलेंस हमने बात की, ठीक है. इन्फोडेमिक की बात की, गलेबल है, लैक ऑफ मॉनिटरिंग, ठीक बात है. हेट स्पीचेस एंड कॉमन इंटरेस्ट, वेरी जनरल पॉइंट्स बट दे आर इंपॉर्टेंट. उमेश सिन्हा कमिटी गाइडलाइंस, वी डिड नॉट मेंशन इट. ऑन सोशल मीडिया, रोल ऑफ intermediaries in recording political news and advertisements. Common cause versus यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस था जिसने गाइडलाइंस दी थी कि जुडिशियस यूज ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर है. गवर्नमेंट जो दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट की भी बात हुई थी, दे वर पुटिंग सो मच मनी इनटू न्यूज. तो बात हुई थी कि आपको कितना खर्चा होना चाहिए. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑल्सो केम अप विद द आइडिया दैट द फोटोग्राफ्स ऑफ द चीफ मिनिस्टर एंड इवन द प्राइम मिनिस्टर मस्ट नॉट कम. एक बार ये बात भी हुई थी लेकिन उसको फॉलो नहीं किया गया. पीआईबी फैक्ट चेकिंग यूनिट, ये एक मेजर है. फैक्ट शाला कंसोर्टियम बाय सिविल सोसाइटी टू हैंडल पेड न्यूज, लेकिन जो हमने वहां बात की थी वो भी इनोवेटिव है. आपने और पहले आंसर में जो बात हुई थी, अमेंडमेंट्स इन आईटी रूल, मेटी, फ्लैग ऑफ न्यूज विच आर फेक एंड पेड, रोल ऑफ सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म, आई थिंक फेयर इनफ, वी हैव डन दैट. चैलेंजेस क्या है? लॉ, लो स्कोप ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव फ्रेमवर्क बेस्ड ऑन सोलली ऑन पेड न्यूज, वेरी गुड. लो स्कोप ऑफ अकाउंटेबिलिटी, ये भी बात बिल्कुल सही है. रोल ऑफ इंटरमीडियरीज, role of intermediaries, and the point is that who do not keep records about political advertisements. Foreign agencies involvement makes efforts more complicated. Way forward क्या हो सकता है? Use of technology, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning and blockchain. Very good point. T.R. Vishwanathan Committee recommendation on controlling hate speech in via paid news. Very important point. Rajiv Gauba, Rajiv Gauba sir is Home Secretary. He was Home Secretary, I believe. Guidelines on social media to be more responsible. So I think very innovative point. Citizen awareness and sensitization. Hence, democratic principles shall remain a threat with the paid news. So in रेगुलेशन की बात हमने भी की, लेकिन उन्होंने उसके बाद उसको और सिंपल और माइक्रो तरीके से डाल दिया. In spite of being a secular country with a secularism as a basic feature of constitution, that is कहाँ बताया गया? SR मुंबई में. And judiciary has maintained principal distance. Very good point. Principal distance is a very good word. Sometimes allegedly with encroachment as seen in the doctrine of essentiality. आप बुराई भी कर दी, क्रिटिक भी कर दिया, बात भी बोल. Origin कहाँ हुआ? Doctrine originated in the Shirur Mutt case in Karnataka. Judiciary examined whether any religious practice is essential. ठीक है, core belief system of the religion. क्या उसको allow किया जाना चाहिए? It could compromise the administrative and legislative in the egalitarian order. क्या वो घुस जाएगा तो क्या हुआ? Use of doctrine of essentiality. हिजाब केस, तो एक केस इन्होंने बताया कर्नाटका कोर्ट का, हिजाब इज नॉट एसेंशियल. फिर दूसरा बताया इन्होंने निखिल सोनी वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान, जैन प्रैक्टिस ऑफ वॉलंटरी सैक्रिफाइस ऑफ फूड और वाटर, तो बताया गया था कि एसेंशियल है. कृपाण एंड टर्बन फॉर सिखिज्म, एसेंशियल फॉर रिलीजन, हिंस अलाउड एज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट. अब इश्यूज क्या है? अगेंस्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल फंडामेंटल राइट, हमने ही बताया. राइट टू रिलीजन में आर्टिकल 20. नॉन यूनिफॉर्मिटी है, हमने भी बोला. लैक ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिविटी एग्जामिनेशन, हमने बोला. बिलीफ एंड द डिग्री ऑफ एसेंशियलिटी, तो हम और सिंपल हमें लिखना है. वेरिंग डिग्री अपॉन फैमिली, कल्चर, प्लेसेस एंड इंटरेस्ट. जुडिशियल ओवररीच, जुडिशियली इंक्रोचिंग अपॉन पर्सनल बिलीफ सिस्टम, ऐसा माना जाता है. पॉलिटिसाइजेशन ऑफ रिलीजन लीडिंग टू कॉमनल हेट्रेड एंड कॉमनलाइजेशन. नेसेसिटी क्या है? Ensure personal liberty and principles of equality. Shabano case, triple talaq case, we discussed that, but we discussed in a very big way. Administrative uniformity is desired. Evade patriarchal bargain and internalize patriarchy. This is a very good point. Parents Patria doctrine for community welfare. This is also again a very, very important point. Or calculated approach with involving stakeholders, strive for doctrine of harmonious construction. We mentioned that. Ensure communal peace and fraternity. Hence, although religion plays a significant part of culture, judiciary must be adhered to core principles of constitutional setup justice. तो ठीक है, बात बोल के उन्होंने उसको एंड कर दिया. EAC PM की जब बात होती है तो आप बात कर रहे हैं साइज ऑफ गवर्नमेंट सिंबलाइजेस एक्सटेंट ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स इनकट रिसोर्स, हमने भी बात की. एज पर EAC PM क्या बोला उन्होंने, इंक्रीज इन रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर, आपने भी बात की है, ड्यू टू सैलरीज, ठीक बात है. मल्टीपल एजेंसीज, हमने तो पूरा उसको डिवाइड करके बोला, डुप्लीकेशन ऑफ वर्क है, मिसमैच है, नॉन इफेक्टिवनेस की बात भी हमने की. स्टेट बिकमिंग ए ऑनेस्ट ब्रोकर, ये गुड पॉइंट, इज अ वेरी गुड पॉइंट, विच बिकम्स रिस्क अवर्सिव, नॉन इनोवेटिव, सेल्फ प्लीजिंग, ठीक बात है. कर्ब्स द मीनिंग ऑफ डिफेक्शन, हॉर्स ट्रेडिंग नहीं होगी अगर आप माल देते और लेते रहेंगे. 91st कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अमेंडमेंट लिमिटेड साइज ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स टू मिनी मैक्सिमम 15% ऑफ लोकसभा, द साइज इज बर्डनसम. वही बात है जो हमने किया कि भाई आप ज्यादा है. काउंटर आर्गुमेंट क्या है, न्यू इमर्जिंग डिसिप्लिन है, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी जैसा आपने भी लिखा, डिफेंस है, साइबर स्पेस है, मल्टीपल पोर्टफोलियोज हैं, फर्दर इंक्लूजन ऑफ टेक्नोक्रेट्स, डोमेन नॉलेज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव जो हैं वो, दे विल मेक द गवर्नेंस फार मोर पार्टिसिपेटरी. इंक्रीज इन फॉरेन पब्लिक एंड सिविल सोसाइटी का बात हमने की, बिगर गवर्नमेंट स्कोप फॉर लार्जर इंक्लूसिविटी एंड रिप्रेजेंटेशन. तो वे फॉरवर्ड है वो स्ट्रीमलाइन करा जाए, कंबाइन किया जाए 360 व्यू, टेक्नोलॉजी लाइक ई विधान, independent audit and review. तो ठीक है, it's a fair enough, we have also done in a fair way, so not much difference, but then here points are a little bit more executive, number of points, number of points. Within last question that we have to see is with respect to the higher education, that institutions of eminence scheme was there for world class centers of higher education. So good start, enrollment ratio more than 27%, only 4 universities in top 1000 rankings. बिल्कुल सही बात है, जरूरत क्यों है, वो एक लाइन मार दी उस पर. इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एमिनेंस है, लार्जेस्ट स्कोप. अब क्या इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है, वर्ल्ड क्लास फैसिलिटी होंगी, वी विल गेट द बेस्ट ब्रेन्स, ब्रेन ड्रेन विल आल्सो स्टॉप, रिसर्च इकोसिस्टम विल इंक्रीज which is less than 1% of GDP expenditure, more inclusive, more academy and industry collaboration will be there, cutting edge technology. We have also mentioned all these things, but in a little bit broad way. With about 10 lakh Indians studying abroad, the strength of around 50,000 foreign students can be seen in India, which need to be increased. Fail हो गए, क्यों फेल हो गए? Lack of execution and funding, no real change in curriculum, research ecosystem lax-sided, like the way we say the idea of Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. And then you have low industry collaboration, does not attract foreign talent. Overlapping schemes are there, imprint, HIPAA. In the first answer, we saw that Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, National Research Foundation. Steps that need to be taken, increase funding. TSR Subramanian Committee is a very good point, 4 to 6% of GDP. So that's why I was asking you that how much percent is being done. I doubt it is 4 to 6%, 3 to 4%, even if it should be less, little less. Increase private collaboration, Narayan Murthy Committee, PPP on higher education, international collaboration, जैसा कि हमने अफ्रीका में zanzibar में भी और हमने यूएई में किया. Curriculum revamping, demand for more and world class infrastructure, facilities must be there. Anil Bordoloi Committee recommendations to make education more inclusive is a good point. So India can use these centers for of eminence, these institutions for of eminence as a soft power to establish itself as Vishwaguru. So I think good and fair point. So what is your overall takeaway? What do you say?
So in terms of breaking down the answer and structuring there, that would be one focus area. And so thinking more, dividing or deconstructing a particular topic or theme.
Yeah, it is not important. It is not mandatory to go this way only. But like Sabrimala example was also very good. But as I said over there also that through Sabrimala, whatever is has done, whatever had been there, वो और उसके अलावा और क्या हो सकता है सब आ जाए.
जी.
It's a kind of a judicious representation, but far more smart effort. Like in the Economic Advisory Council, that was also on track.
Right,
A bit on track, but more data, more lucidity, bringing more simple point, like in case of Competition Commission of India, that वो statutory है, constitutional नहीं है. Paid news में भी वही, उसको रोकोगे कैसे, या कोई कानून कौन बनाएगा, ये छोटे जो मतलब बहुत बेसिक बात है जी, वो हमें लेके आनी without being repetition. Otherwise obviously it is far more remarkable improvement is seen, and there is no stopping till we get success. Thank you very much.